The airbag burned my face when it exploded, and for a second, everything went white. The car had spun twice before hitting the guardrail, and now all I could taste was blood and metal. My hands were shaking as I texted the family chat from the emergency room, "Car crash. I need someone to pick up the kids. Ethan's gone." I stared at my phone, waiting for the three dots to appear. Nothing. An hour passed before my sister, Haley, finally replied, not with concern, but with a selfie from a spa. Her caption, "Self-Care Day." My parents had read the message too. The little, seen mark glared back at me. Still, silence. 2 weeks later, still covered in stitches, I got a call from my mother. "Sweetheart, I need $3,200 for the cruise deposit. It's non-refundable. We have to pay by Friday," she said, her tone bright and impatient. I stared at the wall, trying to process her words. Not "Are you okay?" Not "How are the kids?" Just the cruise. I didn't yell. I didn't even explain. I simply said, "No." She went quiet for a moment, genuinely stunned. "What do you mean, no?" she asked, as if it were the first time anyone had denied her. "I mean no," I said, and hung up. The sound of that click felt final, like a lock sliding shut inside me. The fallout started fast. Haley texted the next morning with a link to a luxury handbag, adding, "Since you're skipping the cruise, maybe you can help me get this instead." My parents called later, pretending to be confused by my attitude. They said families stick together, that I was being dramatic. But I remembered that night in the ER, how my cousin Olivia left work early, picked up my kids, fed them pizza, and tucked them into bed. No hesitation. No questions. She just showed up. That's what family is supposed to look like. For years, I had been the safety net, the one who paid the bills, co-signed the loans, and cleaned up everyone's messes. I thought love meant sacrifice. But that night, staring at my cracked phone screen and Haley's champagne post, I realized something awful. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as convenience. Now, I'm learning the quiet power of letting people fall without catching them. And it's colder than I expected, cold, but peaceful. If you love real emotional stories, hit subscribe. We post one every week. A few minutes later, another text buzzed through. "Mom said you're being weird about the cruise. Everything okay?" Haley wrote, her tone fake sweet, like concern wrapped in poison. The manipulation was almost insulting in its predictability. I didn't reply. My new rule was silence. Then my father, Robert, stepped in with a long, rambling message about how families are supposed to help each other. He spoke of forgiveness and unity, conveniently skipping over the part where they left me stranded in an emergency room. By the time I finished reading his lecture, I felt nothing, just the dull hum of exhaustion where love used to live. That night, Haley posted one of those dramatic black and white quotes on her Instagram story. "It hurts when you realize you were watering a dead plant all along." I stared at it for a long time. The irony was so thick it almost made me laugh. She saw herself as the wounded one, never realizing she was the rot in the soil. I thought that would be the end of it, some passive-aggressive posts, guilt-tripping texts, and emotional manipulation. I was wrong. The real hit came a week later. The call came from Noah's school. The principal's voice was calm but heavy. "Emily, I wanted you to hear this from me directly. There's been an anonymous call to the child welfare hotline." My throat tightened. She continued softly, "The caller alleged that your children are left unsupervised and that you're misusing prescription medication." I felt my entire body go cold. There was only one small circle of people who even knew the name of my medication. My parents. My sister. The realization hit like ice water. They hadn't just turned their backs on me, they were trying to take my children. That night, fear burned itself into focus. I opened my laptop and began pulling every financial record I could find. If they wanted war, I was done fighting with feelings, I'd fight with proof. Credit reports. Bank statements. Loan records. Line by line, I untangled the quiet chaos I had let grow around them. And then I saw it. A credit card I'd never opened, issued 6 months ago, under my name, with Haley listed as an authorized user. The balance, over $12,000. Scrolling through the transactions was like watching her Instagram come to life. Boutique hotels, designer shoes, 5-star dinners. Every filtered photo, every blessed life post, was financed by my name. The chill that spread through me was no longer grief, it was clarity. This wasn't just betrayal. This was identity theft. A crime. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I documented. I called a lawyer who specialized in financial fraud. Filed a police report. Froze my credit with every bureau. Then, I sat at my kitchen table and opened Facebook. I wrote a post on my private page, the one shared with extended family, old co-workers, and community friends. I didn't name names. I didn't need to. I simply laid out the timeline, the crash, the silence, the call to child services, the discovery of the fraudulent card. Every sentence calm, factual, devastatingly clear. By the time I hit post, my hands were steady. The storm that had swallowed my life was finally turning back on its makers. I hit post and watched the screen go still. My story was simple, factual, and devastatingly clear. I included everything, the spa selfies, the texts about the cruise deposit, the guilt trips that followed, and finally, the screenshots from Noah's school and the fraudulent credit card. Side by side, the truth told its own story, my desperate plea for help next to Haley's champagne boomerang, a time-stamped call log from the principal, and a redacted credit statement filled with boutique hotels and designer brands. The reaction was instant. It wasn't a slow burn, it was an explosion. Within hours, messages poured in. A cousin admitted that Haley had borrowed $2,000 for a temporary rental deposit and never paid it back. A former family friend commented publicly, asking whatever happened to that emergency plumbing GoFundMe my parents ran 2 years ago. The lies unraveled in real time, thread by thread, until there was nothing left but the bare truth. By the next morning, Haley's brand sponsors were cutting ties. The wellness tea company, the boutique jewelry line, all of them gone within 48 hours. My parents quietly deleted their old GoFundMe, the one that had conveniently never produced a new water heater. Their glossy image shattered. Linda called me sobbing. "You're destroying this family," she screamed. "You're ruining our name." I didn't argue. I simply said, "I'm not the one who built it on lies," and hung up. A few days later, my lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to Haley regarding the identity theft. Her social media accounts vanished overnight. The calls, the guilt trips, the demands, they all stopped. Without my financial lifeline, the empire they'd built on borrowed money and entitlement crumbled fast. Within 3 months, they lost their house. Haley moved back in with them, all 3 squeezed into a small rental. Meanwhile, my world got quiet, and that quiet was beautiful. My life became smaller, steadier. Evenings were for homework with Noah, bedtime stories with Grace, and Sunday dinners at Olivia and Mark's house. We cooked, laughed, and healed. The laughter at that table filled the spaces where anxiety used to live. One evening, Grace looked up from her crayons and said softly, "I like how our house feels calm now." That one word, calm, was worth more than every apology I never received. With the money I used to pour into saving everyone else, I started college funds for the kids. Opened an investment account. Planned vacations that didn't include guilt or obligation. For the first time, my future was mine. 6 months later, a plain envelope arrived with no return address. Inside was a single line in Linda's handwriting: "You destroyed this family." I didn't feel anger, or even sadness. I shredded the letter and watched it turn to confetti in my hands. I hadn't destroyed anything. I'd simply stopped being the beam holding up a rotting house. When it finally collapsed, that wasn't destruction, it was liberation. And what I know now is simple: the people who truly belong in your life will never need to be begged to show up. Everyone else, you hold the door open, and let them walk out for good.